Hey guys, welcome back to Ollie Talks Airsoft. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that happened at a game a few nights ago, and where everyone kind of looked at me like I was a little bit crazy. So I thought I would explain to everyone why I was doing what I was doing and what the logic behind it was. So let's just get on with it. Right, so I was playing down at the Bristol Crown Courts on Thursday night, and it was very, very cold. It was down to about I think about 3 or 4 degrees C, so not particularly good weather for gas guns. And the guns that I decided to take out with me were my Tokyo Marine Glock 19, which also has a Guns Modify metal slide and I think it's a Garda metal outer barrel. So this has been upgraded. And I also took with me my completely stock Tokyo Marine FNX with Surefire X300. Now, the thing that I was doing that was a bit weird, which really confused a lot of people, was I was actually running an inside the waistband holster. And this is something that people in airsoft tend not to do, because it's all about speed, efficiency, being tactical, and actually having to. You don't draw from concealment because you don't need to be concealed. You've got you've got red tape on your arms. You're on the red team. You've also got the blue team. Shit, it's obvious. You don't need a concealed carry. So I understand why I was getting some weird looks. But there was a good sense of logic behind what I was doing. So because I'd chosen to run just 2 pistols, and this pistol is running an upgraded, heavier metal slide, so it's not going to be as poppy as a stock plastic Tokyo Marine gun. What this does is it actually holds the gun obviously inside the waistband and right up against my warm stomach. So this was actually pressed against my body the whole time. And what that means is that my heat was going into not only the gun, but the mag as well. So in a traditional holster arrangement, your holster is going to be on your side and it's going to be set a little bit away from your body. What that means is that the mags have a propensity, especially when in the gun and not in use, to cool down. Now, because I knew that I was going to be running this pistol as my primary, so that means it's always going to be in my hand, so there's always going to be a little bit of heat transfer happening from my hand into the mag in the pistol. With this one, this was my backup, and so the whole point is that I want this to work no matter what, and having it constantly pressed against my body means that this gun is always going to be at optimal temperatures. And I must say, this didn't actually slow down at all. But I did end up running out of BBs with it a couple of times. I was running 3 mags with this, and I think I had 1, 2, 3, 5. I think I had about 5 mags for the Glock as my backup. So at the point that I'd run out of BBs in my FNX, I would holster it, and again, it would be holstered a couple of inches away from my body or an inch or so away, so the mags are cooling down, but I don't care because they're all empty. And then I switched to this, and I've immediately got a couple of nice warm mags ready to go. And yeah, keeps you in the fight. So if you're someone that traditionally runs a rifle and a pistol, and you found that, especially over those winter months, you're really reluctant to go for your pistol because maybe it often doesn't work. Maybe you've had to switch over to CO2, but I know, especially in the UK, a lot of sites don't really like CO2, or they can either choose to ban it completely, or they can choose to make you put a CO2 in at the start of the day, which I think is, and chrono the first shot in front of them. I think that's fair enough. If your gun comes under the chrono limits on that first shot of a CO2, I think you should be allowed to use that for the day. I think especially for obviously people living in colder climates wanting to run metal slided pistols, we shouldn't be kind of like restricted on the power source ultimately. So I think it's a shame that more sites don't allow it, but I do completely understand why. A lot of it is to do with the old Dan Wesson revolvers, where they could be coming in at 500 FPS. Yeah, and people were, you know, switching between the low power shells and the high power shells. Yeah, don't be that guy. But certainly, if you find that, you know, you can't use CO2, and you almost in the winter months you've just kind of like stopped taking your pistol out, because every time you go to use it, the green gas is just kind of and it's just kind of not working. Well, would actually an inside the waistband be better than not having anything at all? And certainly for me, for the purpose that I was using it for, using 2 pistols in CQB, this is a great idea. You know, this was it meant that I had access to a warm gun that I knew was going to be immediately poppy, and again another spare mag. And this doesn't have to just be a 19 mag. You know, you could fit a 17 or an extended mag in here. You can ultimately you can have an extended mag coming out of here, so you could have 100 rounds if you're running the old 50 round extendos. It won't be very concealed ultimately, but certainly those mags will be very warm. And if you're looking for that kind of that backup, you know your main gas gun is starting to slow down a bit. You need something to breach that rune that's gonna be poppy every time, and you just can't rely on your sidearm in the winter months. Yeah, see if there is actually an inside the waistband solution. And you know, this particular obviously version, I think probably people can tell that this is the original T-Rex Arms version. But you know, there's ones like this. Haley Strategic do some. There are a few other companies out there that are doing inside the waistbands, but I would say try and get one with an extra mag, just to give you that extra capacity. I think if you're used to, like me, most of the time running 1 in the gun and 2 spares, actually swapping over to the winter months, at least having 1 in the gun and 1 spare that actually work, that's going to be more beneficial than just 1 that you can't rely on. So I do understand why people thought, yep, okay, he's a bit mental, but actually I was running inside the waistband because I wanted to have 2 pistols, and I wanted the temperature on them to be warm enough that I could run an aftermarket metal slide. Now, if this was just a completely bone stock Tokyo Marui, this would be working down to like 0 degrees. And actually, you know, I've taken this out in colder temperatures and it's worked fine, but it's just having that poppiness and having that they just, you know, gas guns prefer the heat, we all know that. So yeah, running inside the waistband is not actually that crazy. So if you see me out on the field doing it, just that's why, basically. The only other exception to that, and I probably should have covered this off right at the start, is milsim. If you're running a milsim, then this is just kind of cool, because you can just go, you know, put all your guns down, pretend that you've got nothing on you, and you can be concealed carrying. So that's kind of cool, that you can do it in those sort of events. But actually, for the winter months, concealed carrying, not crazy, in my opinion. So anyway, guys, thanks for spending the time with me, and I shall see you on the next video.